Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the title suggested, I'm going to be reacting to the top 8 liberal reaction meltdowns of the 2024 election. And listen, when it comes to some of these people are just completely unhinged, but it's totally fake. I mean, they're setting up cameras, and it's just you have to think of the backstory of these videos. Like these people are like, all right, let me set up the camera, let me get really ready to get angry. And then because it's all in front of a camera, it's all give me reaction, give me attention, but they're just embarrassing themselves, and nobody really cares who any of these people are. But it is funny. So this is a thread screamed on all sides of the room, and we've got this individual here. And listen, I don't know how loud this is going to be, but this is a grown adult, probably like 23 or 24, probably around a 75% chance they have a communist manifesto. But let's take a look at this. You can see him set the camera up. Dude. You gotta edit that out, man. You gotta edit, like, he's just like, oh, is it good? Is it? And then he just starts, like, you gotta edit that out. Come on. Wait, why is he in a bathroom? All right, now come on, now you're just overdoing it. Wait, dude, wait, when he said it in the camera, he's like, oh, is it good? Is it? Okay. All right, that's enough. I'm sorry. It was mesmer. I was trying to like. Oh God, not this one, dude. This is another one. Oh, at least she made it more realistic. She made it more, but like.
I'm sorry. No.
Okay, this is worse. This is what the communist. Well, I don't know. The other kid was better than this.
Oh, no. Why?
So,
Do you really hate me that bad? I'm sorry.
wait, what? Do you really hate me that bad?
Sorry. No. Why? Do you really hate me that bad? Do you really hate me that bad?
When you're halfway through shaving your head and instantly regret it. Is that her boyfriend? I mean, dude, that's gotta be, I mean, is that a joke or something? Here's a liberal reaction compilation from their little stream.
Bill Crystal, I go back to everything I'm saying right now really is in line with what I expected from tonight. I was hopeful that we were going to see a big Ann Seltzer wave, a secret wave, a huge rush, and we were going to out the polls were going to be.
And Ann Seltzer was the cult hero of the left there for the last 3 days after that Iowa poll.
Outdone, and we're a polarized country, and what we're seeing right now is some changes on the margins for 2020 that we're trying to analyze. We don't have bad news yet, guys. For people getting nervous, it's right now.
Yeah, I mean, 66% in. To be fair, I had said that Florida really wasn't going to indicate the way of the swing states, and it really didn't, honestly, because it was. I mean, Trump won Florida by 13. The swing states were still close. There were like a few fringe liberals that said that Florida was going to be, it's, gonna, but they even gave it up. But there were some really dumb liberals. I saw some other reactions where there was like 30% in, and Florida was like a 1-point Trump lead, and none of the panhandle was in. And they're like, oh, she might actually win Florida.
Looking at a close race like we expected. We're going to bring in JBL and Sarah. But before that, do you have any Any words of wisdom for everybody? There's some nerves in the comments. Any deep thoughts before we give you a break?
Yeah, no, keep calm and carry on, and let's see what happens here. And I remain on the mildly bullish side.
I would say the big takeaways right now are that the Harris blowout scenario is probably off the table.
I have never thought she was going to win North Carolina or Georgia or Arizona.
My final prediction on the podcast today was 276-262 in favor of the vice president. But Georgia looks close.
Yeah, that's one of the more like when it comes to liberal predictions, 276, that's almost as close as you could get in terms of a win. But that was kind of the common theme with the liberal predictions. I mean, there were a few fringe libs that gave Kamala over 300, but mainly what I was seeing was the liberals were predicting. I mean, you're always going to predict your candidate to win, especially as much as they hate Trump. But a lot of them were saying it was like 276, maybe 270, like a very close win for Harris, as opposed to a lot of the Trump people saying it was going to be a relatively comfortable win, me included, for Trump. And that was kind of like the people are like, well, that's because liberals are more realistic. Well, no, it's based off of the polling difference from 2020 and 2016. And I mean, they can say whatever they want. A lot of them did not have nearly as much confidence as they did in 2020 and 2016, even though they tried to use the cope of, the polls have overcorrected for Trump. They still didn't have the same confidence.
North Carolina looks close to me. Neither of them were on the map that I had for Kamala Harris winning.
Coming down to a 5-digit margin in 3 states.
I know.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that is panic time. Things are about to go dark, I think.
Would you just stop?
This is what 2016 felt like.
The trends don't look too great. In fact, they look bad. But we still have 3 states that we just don't have great data on.
Because we always talk about how voters are too stupid to even exist.
And then so what it immediately turns into, and this happens with a lot of the liberal networks and mainly like the fringe independent people where they've got like these panels and whatever the hell this is, where it'll be like, well, the voters are dumb. They were fed disinformation and misinformation, and that's why they voted the way that they did. It goes into the blame the people rather than blame the party for putting up a bad candidate. It's always a reaction of, well, the people are just dumb. That's why we lost. It has nothing to do with us. It's you guys. You're the reason we lost. You're all stupid, and you bought it. And then that's why they started blaming Elon Musk and all the disinformation, which, of course, the lack of self-awareness, considering what happened in 2020 when there was a story that was 20 times bigger than any October surprise we had in 2024 that was silenced by the mainstream media, which was all very far left-wing. The idea that you would then say 2024 was decided because of Elon Musk and disinformation
In the world, because they're just morons who can't understand anything.
I always thought this was going to be tight. I think we got to wait until these blue wall states are counted. That's where it's going to be decided.
That again is voters are too stupid to understand how anything works.
Pretty grim evening, all told. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's a bad day for democracy. It's a bad day for the United States.
It's a bad day for democracy. Trump was elected democratically and he won the popular vote.
Gosh, do you really want to, are we ready to start doing this?
No, I don't think.
Having a, yeah.
I don't want to throw in the towel.
Yeah, no, you don't want to throw in the towel.
I don't want people to mistake this as throwing in the towel. Okay.
So I'm glad the rest of everybody is caught up where I was at 8 o'clock. I mean, I think the election's over.
You know, I'm still waiting to see how this is going, but I will say, I do think it is trending badly. It is not trending in a positive direction. I do think that it is possible that she could still eke this out.
We don't want to be too funereal. And by the way, I really feel a little
funereal
sick at the idea of having to have Donald Trump in our faces for another 4 years. It's almost more than I can stand.
Well, it should be longer than that because Trump's going to have huge say within the Republican Party even after his term.
Sarah, come on. This is where you really rally us with something helpful.
I mean, look, I think we're like a little bit ahead of ourselves. And I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I don't know what time this was, but I'm guessing this is probably around like 1 a.m. it became pretty obvious at midnight because you look at Pennsylvania flipped back for Trump, and then it flipped for Harris for like a minute, and then it flipped back to Trump, and then it was Trump's for the rest of the vote counting. But that happened at like 11:15, I want to say. And then Trump started to, once he flipped Pennsylvania into his lead, he started to build a 3 or 4 point advantage. And he got to the point where Pennsylvania, he was up by like 3.5 with like 82% in, and that's when it's basically over. It was, at that point, and you can compare it to 2020, but 2020 was just such a mess with like all the extra ballots that they didn't count within the day of the election. So, I mean, this is just this is just your typical cope where they're like, well, it's not completely over yet. And I mean, that's what the election night is. You're waiting. But I mean, when I was doing the stream, it was one of the best, most easiest things to look at is that real time betting. I mean, what's it like 98%? The odds on Trump losing when he's at like 97-98% are so minuscule because, I mean, obviously you could hypothetically put a bet on Kamala Harris with like a 3% chance, and then if she wins, that would be a bunch of money, but there's a reason it's a 3% chance, and that's one of the easiest things because you really can't scale like, well, there's 82% of the vote in, Trump's up by 3. What does that mean in terms of Trump's odds? And that's what the betting does, the real-time betting. And I'm not saying the betting is always right. I mean, this cycle, yes, it was. Polymarket was right, and they tried to say that, well, it's all Republican degens putting money in, and that's why, Trump is up. And I mean, it had Trump the entire time. You look at election night, it was probably the most stress-free thing we've ever had. Normally I remember back in 2016 how bad it was at like 8:30 when Hillary had flipped Florida there for a little bit. And just none of that happened in 2024. I mean, if you look at the line, Trump, his odds were at like 66%, and that was at 7 o'clock, and it didn't go any lower than that. It just kept going up. And it's the same thing with the New York Times ticker and everything like that, where it just kept getting better. But it was such an easy night. And then it just got like the waiting game to where we knew Trump was going to win because if you look at all the metrics and all the real time betting, these people are older. They're like, we don't really know. And it's like, there's things that can express the odds on her winning. And it's not even just the betting. It's also the New York Times ticker. Decision Desk had something, although Decision Desk's real-time analysis was, I thought, dumb because it fluctuated too much. The ticker was better. But either way, I mean, this is just the cope that you get from these people. And a lot of the times, you follow stuff like this, even if you're a liberal, I mean, there's just such a lack of information on who's actually winning and what are the odds, the real time odds when you watch stuff like this. These are panels and these people are like, well, but I mean, it's just, I mean, you would think they would implement, and I don't think any of them did, the major networks, some type of real time odds, because the election, it's so hard, in terms of it being expressed, like, if Trump is up by 3 in Pennsylvania with 62% of the vote, and okay, what is that expression in terms of odds on winning? Because there could be liberal counties still left to count. They could be Republican. I mean, there's ways to do it. It's mainly through the live betting. But this is just kind of a bad way to watch the election. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Links to that's always in the description.